What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is video number 2. Today I'll be going over what I previously stated in the last video. What's good, what's bad, and what's ugly with both the Mk6 Golf R as well as the 2021 BMW X7. But before we get started, let's put this front bumper back on. Well, guys, the front bumper's back on. You're probably wondering, why was it even off in the first place? Well, I actually recorded that, however, I accidentally deleted it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But we're here, so I'll tell you. The car sits awfully low to the ground. In order to put the car on the U-Haul trailer with the straps, for any of you that know how the U-Haul trailers work, they have this mesh that you drive over and you grab it and you wrap it around your tires, and then there's a ratcheting system in the front that you ratchet it to. Well, the problem with that is that strap, imagine the middle of the tire, went to about here. I tried to get crafty with it and run it under, but as you ratchet it and it tightens, it was actually ripping the front bumper off from the bottom. So it was sitting at like a 45-degree angle. So the wife and I just made an executive decision. It's actually her idea. Shout out to her. Was how easy is it to take the front bumper off, and let's just take the front bumper off. So at 10 o'clock at night in the Nellis Air Force Base BX, Base Exchange parking lot, we took the front bumper off and actually put it inside the car along with all of our luggage. So that's why I had to put it back on. Or that's why we had to take it off and then now put it back on. So with that being said, I have a little backstory. You're probably also wondering, why is the bumper gray? Why isn't it white? Well, here's a picture of the car when we bought it back in April of 2022. And it had a white bumper. Everything was fine. But me being me, I decided that, you know what, I like to modify stuff. Let's take the bumper apart. You'll see this on the walkthrough, on the walk around, but when I went to take the bumper off, the previous owner, I don't know who he is or she, had glued, I don't know what kind of like 2-part JB Weld stuff they used, but they had glued the front bumper to the fender right along this seam. So when I went to take the bumper off on the other side, it actually ripped the clips off. So I spent countless hours trying to plastic weld with fiberglass and try to remake the clips on the bumper itself. But in the end, 3 years later, I decided to just order the new front bumper. Another thing you'll notice is American Golf Rs, American vehicles in general, have an amber light that runs right, or a reflector that runs right along here. Well, I figured if I'm going to spend the money to buy a new front bumper, let's buy the Euro-spec bumper. So this one is from Germany. I think that Volkswagen actually had to make the bumper brand new and then primer coat it, because this bumper took almost a whole year to get to the States. Once it arrived to the States, the company said that they were going to charge me an additional $500 to ship it from the East Coast to Las Vegas because it was in a big wooden box. The box was like 50 pounds. This bumper weighs like 10 pounds, 15 pounds maybe. Well, I told them I'm not going to pay the $500. Is there anything else you could do? So what they did was they made some framing, I guess, out of cardboard to hold the bumper in its original shape, and then they just cellophane plastic wrapped it and sent it to ship it to me for what I already paid for the shipping. So a year later, I want to say $800 later, the bumper finally arrived and it fits flawlessly. I was going to paint the bumper myself. I don't know how to paint, number one. Number two, I'm pretty over white. So in the future, what I'm going to do is wrap the vehicle. And when I order the wrap and when the wrap arrives, I'll have a whole episode or video, I guess, on a time lapse of wrapping this vehicle also with showcasing the color. But with that being said, now that you have the backstory on why the bumper's gray, obviously because it's new, let me walk you around the rest of the vehicle and show you some of the mods that are already done, as well as some of the damages that are going to have to be fixed before I wrap it, but also kind of as I order parts. Keep in mind, guys, I bought this car in April of 2022. The car had 90,000 miles-ish, maybe in the mid-90s, I don't remember 100%. Well, now the car has almost 160,000 miles after 4 years of ownership. But that's how far I drove to work and back. Overall, the car has, I don't want to say performed flawlessly, because I have had to replace some stuff, pretty major components. I'll put some pictures of the transfer case right around here probably. Bottom line up front, after about 2 years of ownership, I underfilled the transfer case. Changed the fluid, underfilled it. I thought it was full because it was pouring out. The car drove fine for upwards of three weeks to a month. No issues, had no problems. Then all of a sudden, I left for work one day and the car started jerking really hard. Immediately I thought it was the clutch, so I tried to find a stage 2 clutch. I couldn't, but at least at a decent price. So I ended up going with the stage 3 ECS clutch, and flywheel. So now it's a single mass flywheel with the clutch. Really no issues with the clutch other than it is heavy. And since it's pucked, it sucks to drive in traffic. So, installed the new clutch. At that moment in time, I got the new clutch done, or I got the new clutch installed. I was like, maybe it's the transmission, so I popped open the transmission. Here's some other pictures. Transmission looked fine, actually looked spectacular. I put new fluids in the transmission. I had the turbo. I took the turbo off because I was waiting on parts. Took the turbo off and I sent it to the G-Pop shop to have them rebuild it and throw some like ceramic bearings in there, which they did. That was at about 120,000 miles, so it'd probably time anyways, plus I was getting a lot of blow-by. I also got an ECS front mount intercooler because while from what I've read, it doesn't perform as well as the stock intercooler, but I think it looks cooler. So I don't really care what people have to say. It looks cool. I haven't really had any issues with it. Maybe some heat soak in the hot Vegas sun, but everything's gonna heat soak in the hot Vegas sun because it's 115 degrees. Also, I replaced like 95% of the suspension components, ball joints, bushings, tie rod, inner and outer tie rod. It is sitting on, I want to say H&R springs with some stock struts. When I bought the car, it had KW coilovers. I think they were blown. So I bought stock suspension or stock shocks and struts, bought springs. I think the total for all of that was like $500, so I wasn't going to replace it with coilovers because it's a pain to adjust them, especially if you don't have a lift or any sort of quick jacks, which I don't yet. And they're expensive. For a daily driver, I don't need all the rebound control and adjustability like that. The car did look good, slammed, but going over speed bumps and the horrible roads that are in Vegas was not doing the car any justice. So I decided to swap it, and I think the ride height looks pretty good. Plus it gives a little bit of fender gap, which is good for going over those speed bumps. Also, when I want to go bigger wheels, the bigger wheels should help fill that out. I want to go 19s instead of 18s, so that'll help fill it out. Another thing you can't see, well, you can see it on the end, or on the back of the car. It has full CTS turbo back exhaust with a high flow catted downpipe. I think that's about it for things you can't see. I'll walk you around the vehicle. Once again, show you the good, the bad, the ugly. Some things I gotta fix before I wrap it. because I don't want any major dents or holes or anything in any panels before I wrap it, because then it'll just get highlighted more on a darker color than white. Just walk around and look at it. So let's start in the engine bay. Well, as you can see, we have a CTS intake. However, when I bought the car, it actually had a hole in it right here, so I had to get crafty with some JB Weld. So far it's held, it's been 4 years. It's got the R8 coil packs, which have actually been on the car since I've owned it. I haven't had any issues with them. They probably need changed. As you can see, it has an integrated engineering intake manifold. There were flaps in the stock intake manifold, and after 150,000 miles, they just got stuck closed. So it was thrown a check engine light and put the car into limp mode. It has a aftermarket diverter valve. I forget the name of it, or the specific brand. I think it's Go Fast Bits. Then obviously it has a CTS catch cam, which I did some garage engineering. So initially it came with a plate that replaced your PCV valve. The problem with that was when the crankcase pressures got high, it would just dump everything into, it would push everything out of this valve back here and into the exhaust, because this valve runs to the turbo, which then would push it to the exhaust. The problem with that is that if the car was tilted backwards, so like the nose of the car is higher, it would just pour white smoke, almost like I blew a head gasket or something like that. So what I decided was to retain the factory PCV valve, but I didn't want oil going into my intake manifold. So what I did was I went to the junkyard and found a bunch of these stock connectors, cut it off, got my AN fitting, and put it on here, and a hose clamped it down. Runs to the catch can, and this hose runs to the side of this integrated engineering intake manifold, which is kind of hard to see, but it plumbs into there, so all the crankcase pressure can get fed back into the intake manifold. And then the intake manifold comes with some like pressure sensor relocations and things of that nature. This thing is expensive. It was like $1,000. But because I was in Vegas and integrated engineering is in Utah and Salt Lake City, it got to my house in like a day. It was very quick, and it was a pain to install. I do not recommend it. Since this thing is so much bigger, you already have zero clearance, but you have even less because it's so much bigger. Another thing in this engine bay is I have CTS motor mounts. I got CTS motor mount and transmission mount underneath the intake, which, yeah, you can't see. When I took the transmission out to replace the clutch, that mount was completely gone. The inside of the bushing, I just pulled right out, so it was toast. Some bad stuff. One, I need to replace this. I'll probably go integrated engineering. That's also another $1,000 because they're expensive. I replaced the lenses on this on the headlights, because it was getting just smoked by rock chips. As you can see, it already is. I don't know if you can really see that, but it has rock chips on it. I PPF'd these headlights. But in the process of replacing these lenses, one, don't recommend it. It was also a pain in the ass. But I dropped it. And when I dropped it, both of these brackets cracked off. So once again, doing some garage engineering, I took some wire and ran it in here and plastic welded it together. So far, so good. No real issues. This one's fine. I didn't drop this one. I'm assuming it's the PPF, but you can see a little bit of yellowing right here. I'm assuming it's one, the PPF, but also two, it's from the sun in Vegas. It's so bad so that this one's like super burnt and brown and gross. I don't know what that's from. Maybe I'll try to remove the PPF for now. My goal is to just buy different headlights. They're like $600, and this car drastically needs some TLC. You can also see right here that this plastic got brittle and broke, which is why I have some duct tape over it to make sure nothing gets in my my windshield washer fluid. because there's a screen right here, but the brake is after the screen, so that doesn't really help me. Also, this coolant reservoir, I don't know what's up with the plastic that the plastic that Volkswagen uses, but it is not it in the engine bay, or like why over here. So I'm gonna have to replace this coolant bottle. Other than that, that's pretty much it in the engine bay. Oh, okay, so now let's just back up and we'll just go from the front of the vehicle. The intercooler works fine. It cools the air as it's supposed to. I think it looks good. It definitely has seen better days. You could see it, I can see it on camera, but there's like dents where the fins are bent and stuff like that. That's from that Vegas highway driving. It just kills the front of your car. This bumper, I only had it on for about 6 months. It sat in the garage for a long time because I didn't want to put it on until I was going to paint it or wrap it. But even this bumper has rock chips, and I was only on the car for 6 months. Another thing is when I was installing the front bumper, you'll notice that I'm missing that. It broke off, it just completely broke off. I ordered new ones. They should be here in like 2 weeks. I'm not going to install it until I get the wrap. That way I can just wrap it and put it on with it wrapped instead of having to take it off. I ordered both sides, but hopefully this side, this one right here, comes off and doesn't break. So that way I can just reinstall it with the wrap on it. You really can't see this on camera, but there are just minor rock chips all over the front of this car. That's Vegas for you. You're gonna get rock chips or debris chips from people driving in Vegas. Here, right here, you can see it. This little chip right there. There's rock chips all over this car. I'll just wrap over it. Hopefully the glue will kind of just fill it in, the wrap glue. All right, now probably the worst panel on this car. Well, one of them. So as you can see, there are holes right here. And as I stated earlier, I completely ripped these clips out of the other front bumper. So what I did was I bought those like rubber band bumper holder things, I don't know what they're called, off of Amazon for like $10, and drilled it into the bumper, into the trash bumper that I no longer have because it's in the trash. Into the bump to hold the bumper on. Before I was using duct tape, and well, it looked kind of trashier than this, but I did this after this happened. So the luxury of having children. We had a basketball hoop outside in Vegas, and the wind caught it and blew it and knocked it into the fender, which put a big dent in it and chipped up the paint, the rock chips. I could have saved this fender, but after this dent, I'll just buy a new one. It's like 75 bucks off of carparts.com. So I'll just replace the bumper and then wrap it when it gets here, or when I get the wrap, more like. Nobody's gonna know. Well, they'll know now that I told you, but they won't really know. This door, you can kind of see down here, just some paint chips. These rockers are also paint chipped up. Down here. What are you gonna do? Some more paint chips, but it'll get wrapped over. And probably one of the second worst, maybe the first worst, depending on how you look at it, is this rear bumper. It is cracked. When I bought the car, they did say that it was in an accident, but the highlighted damage was in the front. Front looked decent, like it was done decently. This had like a thing over it, like a step plate thing that I pulled off because I was like, one, I want to wrap the car, but two, I think it looks like crap. So I pulled it off and there was this huge crack. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to, when I take the bumper off, I'm going to push this down and plastic weld it, and then I'll sand this flat because it's got kind of a bump to it. I'll probably hit it with some sealer and then wrap over that. The hatch looks pretty decent. These taillights, they're stock taillights. These are also going to get replaced because this one's actually broken. This one right here. Piece on the inside that holds the bulb, the tab is broken. I have it just taped up in there as best I can with painter's tape for now to make sure that when I hit the brakes, people can see that I'm hitting the brakes. Or the running light, so that'll have to get replaced. Both tail lights will have to get replaced. There's a dent somewhere along this pillar. Can't find it right now, but I'll have to try to PDR that. I bought a PDR kit, just a cheap one, so hopefully I can PDR that out. Another way I could tell that this wasn't an accident is, don't know if you could see this. Yeah, right here. When they sprayed the car, they got some clear runs. So what I'll do when I wrap the car is I'll just kind of sand this flat, or sand it into this curve, and then I'll just wrap over it until I finally decide to get the whole car painted, which won't be for a while. This door seems okay. Obviously some rock chips. This fender's good, as long as the basketball hoop doesn't fall on it. These wheels, even before when I bought the car, are curb rashed really bad. I don't know if you can, well, and they're flaking, it looks like, which, whatever. So they're curb rashed pretty bad, almost all the way around, but all four are like that. So definitely need some new wheels. So yeah, I'll probably buy his set. I'll probably, with the color combo, I'll probably get them powder coated black. I'll throw them on with the silver and see how they look after I wrap it. If I like it, cool, I'll keep it. If not, then another thing, let me show you. Let's move into the interior now. Don't mind how disgusting it is. It needs clean for sure. I just cleaned the outside. I haven't made it that far to the inside. I don't have a floor mat on this side, so I gotta buy floor mats. I got the P3 gauge installed, or it came with the car, but unfortunately it doesn't work. So I just unplugged the power for now. I'll probably buy another one. This one was just boost. So I'll probably buy the one that plugs into the OBD2 port, and then you can read everything that the ECU is seeing. This shift knob is not a stock one. I actually bought this, I think it was also off Amazon. I bought this off of Amazon. My neighbor in Vegas, I'm not gonna say their names, but shout out to them. They laser engraved this to the right shift pattern. And then what I did was I took a crayon and I just filled it in and then wiped the excess off, and now I can actually see the shift pattern even though I know it. I reupholstered this. Shout out to my grandma for teaching me how to sew. But what I did is I went to Michael's or Joann's or one of those businesses, and I bought what black material that I liked. I cut the old shift boot apart, I ripped the seams, laid out the template, and then sewed it all together and made my own shift boot. Same with the armrest. This was, for those of you with Mk6s, this is usually leather. One, it was really, like, my arms would stick to it really bad in the summer because it'd be hot. But two, right where my arm sat, my elbow sat, it was super worn. So I took that off and I reupholstered this as well. I think that's about it for the interior. One bad thing about this, well, one bad thing is this doesn't work, so I have to buy a new one of those. But the second thing is, right now it's in neutral, okay? It's in first. That's side to side. Little bit of front to back play, but quite a bit of side to side play. And you go to second, lots and lots of movement left to right and up and back. So what I'm going to do is order new bushings all around for this whole shifter, because it's drastically cheaper than buying a whole new assembly, as well as their short shifter kit that goes on the transmission. So hopefully the shifting throws will be a lot nicer, smoother, without all that play. Other than that, that's pretty much all the good, bad, and ugly about the car.